Right fellas, I do a lot of videos with Paul Linfoot from Paul Linfoot Racing, and every time I do a video there's always questions in the comment of the video. Paul is a very interesting fella and he is the man for anything Sierra RS500 related, like you'll find out. As I always get questions, I went down and I asked some of the most popular questions that come up in the comments. If you've got any questions I didn't ask in this video, leave them in the comments and hopefully Paul might have time to get back to some of the questions. But I'm going to let the video play where I went down and I asked Paul some of the most common questions what you fellas ask. So enjoy the video. So Paul, could you please tell us who you are?
It's a weird question, isn't it? My name's Paul Linfoot. That's it, that's who I am. And I currently own a company called Paul Linfoot Racing.
And what does Paul Linfoot Racing specialise in?
RS500s. We do road cars and race cars. We do restorations and we also build race cars.
What got you interested in Cosworths?
Well, obviously I'm from that era and that age group where I think everybody my age was interested in Cosworths. There was what I would call a blue collar worker. Obviously when we were young, the RS scene was massive. RS turbos, a lot of people had Mark 1, Mark 2 RS 2000s. And I think the Cosworth was just at the time when I was like in my early teens was the top of the tree, wasn't it? It was just the ultimate Ford RS. So same as everybody else, that was it really.
Which one car do you regret selling?
I knew you were going to ask that question. When it comes to Ford RSs, has to be the car that's actually still here in the workshop, in the old part of the workshop, which is my first ever black RS500.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Good question.
Or yourself and the business?
I don't really know because I'm getting old now, you know, and I'm struggling. Obviously the race car builds is what really interests me at the moment. It interests Steve, who works for me, and Rev Kevin, don't forget, the young lad. So we sort of see the expansion being basically on race car preparation and race car builds more than the road cars, if I'm being honest. Still love doing the road cars, still love being involved with the road cars, but the race cars is a bigger passion. So 5 years I would like to think we're still building RS500 race cars.
If you could have one car that's not in your current collection, what would it be?
Oof. Opel Ascona 400.
Good choice. Good choice.
I don't want everybody will assume it had to be a Ford, but no, I've always loved the Opel Ascona 400.
Good choice. How is the current market for classic Fords?
Not good. Some would argue, obviously it's like, I'll put that question like everybody that asks a question on Facebook or whatever, what's my car worth? Everybody who owns one will tell you it's worth £1 million. Everybody who wants to buy one will tell you it's worth 50 quid. The reality is, whether it's cars, motorbikes, trucks, everything has dropped in value. Two reasons, my opinion, is one, the economic climate, which the government is scaremongering everybody to say that there's a financial crisis. Well, you try and book a hotel or book a restaurant, the jam-packed. But what it's done, I think, scaremongered people into thinking things are worse than what it is. Plus, the biggest influencer to me was COVID. We all know during COVID, everything went ridiculous on price. You know, Rolex watches doubled in price. Motorbikes, I started my collection of motocrossers, and I can buy a bike now that was 10, 12 grand during COVID to 6 grand. It's half the price. All the classic cars, well, not just classic cars, the whole car scene, motorbike scene, everything's dropping to what I call pre-COVID prices. People don't want to believe that and they don't want to hear it, but that's the fact. So in theory, the prices haven't actually dropped. They've just gone back to where they were pre-COVID. I see it stabilising for maybe a couple of years, staying about where it is at the moment, and then depending on what happens in the country, we should see them start to creep back up again. That's my thoughts.
My next question was going to be, where do you see the Cosworth prices going in 5 years? Would you say you've just answered that?
Yeah, I think I have, yeah. I mean, Cosworth, you've specified Cosworth. Cosworth have always been the higher end value of the Ford RS or any Ford scene, really. But I think, like anything, they'll do the same as the rest. They'll just slowly creep back up.
How many RS 500s have you owned personally?
You know, we tried to work this out, me and you, a while ago, didn't we? And I think it's somewhere between 50 and 60.
RS 500?
Just RS 500, yeah.
How many of them were road cars?
That's road cars. That's what I'm classing as just road cars. Touring cars, I've probably had, including what I've got now, 6.
6 touring cars?
Yeah.
Did you used to break Cosworths years ago?
That's exactly what I did. Yeah, I did. I'll tell you how that started, really, because I think a lot of things in my life haven't really been planned. They've just sort of happened. My second Sapphire Cosworth, it got shunted up backside. Somebody ran into the back of it. When I wasn't driving it either, Joanne was driving it. I was away racing, and Joanne had gone to Scarborough for an ice cream in Marcosi, and some young person ran into the back of her. I ended up buying it back off insurance company, so I got paid out. I bought the car back off insurance company, took it to work, because I worked in body shop then, put it on jig, pulled all chassis legs back out, put a back panel on it, a rear quarter panel on it, brought it home to finish it off and get it ready. And a mate of mine pestered the life out of me to sell him the car. Anyway, long story short, I sold him the car. He put it in a shed, left it there for maybe 5, 6, 7 years, never did anything with it. Anyway, I bought it back off him. And my sort of heart wanting it, really, the second time round. So I thought, oh, do you know what, I'll just break it. I'll just sell bits of it. I'd seen it was before Facebook, on the Passion Ford and other forums, people were breaking these cars and selling them for a fortune in bits. So I thought, I'll break it. And I like trebled my money. And I thought, this is all right. So I bought another one, and I bought another one, and I bought another one. And I was working, as I said, body shop at the time, and it just went mental. You couldn't buy these cars and pull them to bits fast enough. You'd put parts on Passion Ford, your inbox was mental, your phone never stopped pinging. And I did it for about 18 months, part-time. And then I just made the jump, you know, and it's an hard thing to do. You sit there thinking, I've guaranteed that wage every week, you know, and I've got a mortgage to pay and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I just thought, you know what, in for a penny, in for a pound, I can always get a job. So I left the job and started breaking full time, and I did that for about 12 years, I think. Yeah, and it was eBay that killed it, basically. That's the only reason, and it was a natural transition when the braking had slowed down due to eBay, and people were starting to ask me to restore cars for them because I was a panel beating painter by trade. So the braking died, and the restoration work took off.
Roughly, how many of the known RS 500s have you worked on?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't know. I would have said, if you include mine, which is probably around 50, I would have said I must have worked on at least another 100. I've got to have done. So I would say 100, 150, somewhere between 100 and 150 cars.
I've got a message via Instagram, and it says, Paul, how do you stay so positive after such hard recent events in your own personal life?
It's a tough one. It's fine to ask, don't worry. Obviously a lot of people won't know, but I've been blessed all my life. I met Joanne when I was 17. She recently passed away. And I carry on for her. I do. I can't remember her. She was, I met her at 17, moved in together, bought our first house together, and she supported me through everything, absolutely everything. Never moaned, never groaned. You know, people often ask, as you do, you know, what does your missus say to having all these cars, motorbikes and everything like that? And you know what, until quite a few people had asked, it never dawned on me that not once did she ever moan, question why I bought anything. And it was maybe only 3 or 4 years ago, and I just remember sat down and thinking, I'll ask her. Do you know what I mean? And I said, how come you never moan and you never groan? And because I get people say to me, oh, my missus wouldn't have a motorbike in the house. Oh, she wouldn't let me buy all these cars and motorbikes. And I said to her, why do you never moan? And she said, well, why would I? She said, I've been very lucky that from the day we bought our first house, I've never ever worried about a bill coming through the door. I've never worried about, you know, paying the mortgage, because she says, you were a hard worker, but you're quite clever in what you do. And what I do is try and look forward into buying things that are going to go up in value. You know, most people buy brand new cars every year or blah, 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 and they decrease in value. Everything I buy, I try and look, excuse me, I try and look at what's going to be the next big thing, really, what's going to become valuable. So I invest in that, and that's what I've done. But I couldn't have done that without Joanne's support. I genuinely couldn't. And you do it, you know, like you will do, Adam. You work hard, you do it for your kids, for your family. Well, we couldn't have kids because of Joanne's medical condition, so there was just me and her. Sustained positive is, I have to, really. I have to do it for her, because she supported me right from day one. As I say, never moaned, never groaned. And funnily enough, I never realised it either, really, until she'd passed away, that I used to almost run everything by Joanne before I bought it. I would buy another motorbike, I would buy another car, and I would always go in the house and get my phone out, and I'd, what do you think to that? And I wasn't asking her permission, but I wanted her support, if you know what I mean. And because she always had been beside me 100%, I can't ever remember her saying, what on earth do you want that for? Or, you know, she would look at it and she'd go, oh, yeah, that's nice. Are you buying it? Yeah. Oh. And that was it. So to stay positive is, well, because I just have to. And for her, that's the answer.
Someone's put, how's Rev Kevin?
Well, I'll tell people who Rev Kevin is first. He's actually my niece, Sarah, who was Joanne's brother's son. He's quite a shy guy, really, is Rev Kevin. We've nicknamed him, and I'll tell people where his name comes from. Kevin and Perry. Now, obviously, only people probably my age will know Kevin and Perry are. They were like a TV character, and they're a bit, and Riley was a bit like that, so I nicknamed him Kevin, and it just turned into Rev Kevin. So I forgot the question now. What was it? Yeah, he's good. He's a great lad. He's coming out of his shell, but he's incredibly intelligent. He really is incredibly intelligent lad. So he wants to be a farmer, believe it or not. But I think he thinks being a farmer, he's sat on a tractor all day, just driving around in the field. But he's loving it here. He's meeting a lot of new people. He's enjoying the banter. So hopefully he might decide to change, but we'll see.
So Paul, you've worked hard in your life. What do you class as the best part of being currently where you are in your life today?
I'll tell you what it is. It's the people I've met along the way. It really genuinely is. Right from the very early days, I've met a lot of people, made a huge amount of friends through the Irish Owners Club, through being the registrar. Made a lot of friends through breaking causes, but I think more so in the last maybe 10 years, I've become friends with some incredible people in the industry, and forgive me, I can't possibly name everybody, but I'll probably name the people that people will remember or relate to the most. He's like Dave Mountain, that owns Mountune. Become very good friends with him. There isn't many people that can ring Dave up and ask for a bit of advice, and he will gladly give it to me, and he has done. The Gibbs family, Harvey, Jim, and Aaron the son, great friends. Tony Manick, who used to own the company, still does, Company Turbo Systems. The list is endless. But all these people have become really good friends. A lot of the famous touring car drivers that, you know, if you look through my phone, people who are amazed who's on my phone list: Dick Johnson, Steve Soper, Klaus Neidwitz, Gianfranco Brancatelli, all the big RS500 drivers, Tim Harvey, Rob Gravett, you know, all of them. I've got them all on my phone, and I can speak to them, and I can ask them questions, and they're happy to speak to me, that, you know, happy to answer questions, which is absolutely incredible. So I think what I have learned in the last few months is, honestly, money doesn't mean a great lot. It really doesn't. Family and friends is the most valuable thing, and I've got a huge amount of friends through doing what I do.
That's it, fellas. Thanks for watching, and thanks to Paul for letting us come down and ask the questions. If you want to follow along with what Paul gets up to, Paul has a YouTube channel, which I will leave pinned in the description of this video. Have you got anything you want to say, mate?
No, just thanks for coming down, really. I'm blown away by the amount of response you got to people wanting to know a little bit about me and what I do. So thanks very much for your questions. I appreciate it.
Thanks for watching, fellas, and I'll catch us on the next one. Cheers.